Hi, I'm Sarah Butcher, and this is the Side Comment. On this episode, Jane Ohlmeyer discusses the concept of Ireland as England's oldest colony. How did the English Empire function in early modern Ireland? How did this change over time? What did access to European empires mean for people living in Ireland? Her new book, Making Empire, answers these questions while re-examining empire as process and Ireland's role in it through the lens of early modernity.
Hello, my name is Jane Ohlmeyer and I'm the author of Making Empire, Ireland, Imperialism and the Early Modern World, published by Oxford University Press. My book looks at empire through the prism of Ireland, and Ireland was, of course, England's oldest colony. And in this podcast, I want to focus on Ireland's relationship with the English and later British Empire. And I think it's important that we understand this to better appreciate the challenges that we face today, especially with Brexit and the rise of English nationalism, the accompanying glorification of the imperial past, and nostalgia for empire, which has dealt a body blow to Anglo-Irish relations and continues to threaten the stability of the peace process that the Good Friday Agreement of 1998 made possible. Of course, empire had a very long history in Ireland. England had first invaded Ireland in 1169, leading Frederick Engels to observe in a letter to Karl Marx that Ireland, quote, may be regarded as the first English colony. If the Irish were victims of English and later British imperialism, they were also active perpetrators of it and were subversives within it. In short, empire building and resistance to it went hand in hand. A discourse of civility and barbarism, both in inverted commas, had long underpinned English imperialism in Ireland. But as the 16th century progressed, it became the language of superiority. These ethnocentric ideas fed into the racist ideologies that later characterised British imperial rule in the Atlantic, Asia and Africa. The classic exponent of cultural superiority during these years was the poet and planter Edmund Spenser, who, in a view of the present state of Ireland, which was published in 1633, called for the wholesale destruction of the Irish, along with their culture, society and economy, and invited England to enjoy a monopoly over the exercise of violence. Spenser's view became a foundational text, and this othering of the Irish, this dehumanisation as a means of control, persisted in Ireland and around the British Empire well into the 20th century. So, in this respect, Ireland had served as a laboratory for empire, but there are other examples. Anglicising economic, cultural and legal policies developed in Ireland were later transferred to other English colonies, often at the hands of men from Ireland or others who had served there. Thus, Anglicisation and the civilising mission, as it was known, became official policy in India from the 1830s. Thomas Babington Macaulay, in his famous Minute on Education, expounded ideas about creating a body of loyal Indians who would become, quote, English in taste, in opinions, in morals and in intellect. Macaulay wanted to recreate in 19th century India exactly what English imperialists had been advocating for in early modern Ireland. Similarly, ideas about plantation, tried and tested in Ulster, were rolled out in English colonies in North America, the Caribbean, the Indian subcontinent, and later Africa. Tools of empire relating to the law, knowledge gathering, and above all mapping were fine-tuned in 17th century Ireland and then deployed in other colonies. The need to count, catalogue, chart, draw, engrave, map, paint and survey land, people and natural resources became a hallmark of English imperialism in Ireland, but also in the Atlantic and in India. Collectively, this served as proof of dominance and signified legal rights of possession and ownership, and drew attention to the commercial opportunities the natural world afforded to enterprising colonists. Despite being colonised, men and a few women, both Catholic and Protestant, from Ireland served empire. Ireland provided a disproportionate number of soldiers for service in India. From the 1890s, Irishmen comprised roughly 2/3 of the British Army in India. These rank-and-file troops were usually impoverished Catholics known for their bravery, endurance and good humour, along with their drunken brawling and racism. Their officers were often Protestants of Anglo-Irish provenance who tended to view their Irishness as something of a liability, even an embarrassment. They included figures like Arthur Wellesley, Duke of Wellington, Lord Roberts of Kandahar, and John Nicholson. The late 19th century was the high point in terms of Irishmen serving in the Indian civil service, and by the 1890s they ran 7 out of 8 of the Indian provinces. This coincided with the viceroyalty of Lord Dufferin, who was descended from 17th century Ulster planters and viewed India through the prism of his Irish experiences. As well as servants, the Irish served as subversives within empire. Even though it was 1914 before Annie Besant of Irish provenance established the All India Home Rule League, from the 1880s, Irish nationalists watched closely the tactics of parliamentary obstruction honed by Charles Stewart Parnell, the charismatic leader of Irish Home Rulers. Gandhi later attributed the origin of his own mass movement of peaceful resistance in India to the Irish Land League, which had served as a model of agrarian disturbance, and to Michael Davitt, who had pioneered peaceful methods of agitation and passive resistance, including the use of boycott and rent strikes. Cultural nationalism came together through the friendship of W.B. Yeats and Rabindra Tagore, the Bengali polymath, who found aspects of Irish nationalism inspiring, especially the use of language, folklore and mythology. Cultural nationalism fed republicanism. The 1916 Rising, which triggered the unravelling of the British Empire, inspired Bengali nationalists, and a copycat rising took place in Chittagong in 1930. And then from the 1930s, the Irish taught the Indians their ABC of freedom fighting. In addition to rousing Indian nationalists, Ireland provided a model for partition. The Government of Ireland Act, December 1920, partitioned Ireland and established 2 subordinate parliaments, one in Dublin and the other in Belfast. Almost exactly a year later, the Anglo-Irish Treaty of December 1921 granted Dominion status for the 26 counties of the Irish Free State. 25 years later, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, president of the Muslim League, invoked the example of Ireland. Gandhi, Nehru and other members of the National Congress staunchly opposed the creation of Pakistan. The division of Bengal and Punjab along communal lines and the creation in the subcontinent of, quote, many Ulsters particularly concerned Nehru, anxieties shared by Eamon de Valera, one of Ireland's founding fathers. For his part, de Valera had never accepted the legitimacy of Irish partition, and Articles 2 and 3 of the 1937 Irish Constitution claimed sovereignty over the 6 counties that comprise Northern Ireland. In 1999, as part of the Good Friday Agreement, Ireland amended its constitution and granted the right to be, quote, part of the Irish nation to all those people born on the island of Ireland. The revised articles also express a desire for the peaceful political unification of the island, subject to the consent of the people of Northern Ireland and of Ireland. And so the imperial saga continues. Ireland was Britain's first colony. Northern Ireland may well be its last. Thank you for listening.